Canada, America and Mexico are gearing up to co-host the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But behind the glossy promos and stadium fly-throughs, reality is far from perfect. Immigration feuds, tariff wars, political posturing, basically a full-blown North American soap opera. Sporting fixtures, well, also turning into battlegrounds, full of jibes and controversies. And that leads me to one unavoidable question. If the hosts can't get along, how will they deliver the biggest World Cup in history together? But in this diplomatic storm comes a tiny sliver of hope. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is set to meet US President Donald Trump next week in Washington, not at a summit, not at a bilateral, but during the FIFA World Cup draw. Football once again forcing politics to share the table. Now, as the eyes of the world shift to this meeting, we ask, will it thaw tensions? Or will it pour more fuel on an already simmering fire? Now, ever since Donald Trump walked back into the Oval Office, America's relations with its neighbors have taken a bit of a nosedive. The US-Mexico dynamics, walking on thin ice, ICE raids, aggressive border crackdowns, tariff threats, everything amplifying distrust. And then, of course, there's Canada, locked in a tariff war with the US, with economic friction spilling into public sentiment. These political fractures aren't just in newsrooms, they are visible on the field. Anti-America sentiment is now a recurring soundtrack across international sporting events. Boos, chants, banners, the message is loud. North America isn't united. And the leaders, they don't miss a single chance to hit back. Trump took shots before American failures in ice hockey. The then Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau mocked the US after their Four Nations playoff final loss. One off? Not at all. This has become a regular cross-border roast battle. But here's the irony. For all the political tension, sports has always been the one thing that has united them. Basketball, baseball, ice hockey. Canada and America share leagues, rivalries, champions, heartbreaks. They've built entire sporting cultures together, but lately even sports has turned into a bit of a war zone. Everything from NBA courts to NHL arenas has a layer of political friction coating it. Naturally, the question for the World Cup was simple. If the hosts are so divided, how do you unify the world? And that's where the Carney-Trump meeting becomes significant.
What matters is negotiations, when they re-engage. They haven't re-engaged yet, so that's the fundamental point.
Carney may have downplayed expectations, but the messaging, talks are coming, negotiations will resume. And that is massive, because historically, Canada and America have been the closest of allies. Shared borders, shared culture, shared industries, and yes, of course, shared sporting history. The only wedge between them, of course, is the ongoing tariff war. And if that tension hadn't existed, we'd likely see smoother cooperation, stronger sporting ties, and a more harmonized World Cup roadmap, just like earlier years. Remember, Canadian and American teams compete together in the NBA, the NHL, MLB, MLS, unequal numbers, yes, but symbolically, these leagues show exactly how strong their partnership can be. However, here's the gray zone. The real fear: what if this meeting goes sour? Trump's fallout with world leaders is well documented. Ask Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. That diplomatic meltdown was public, messy and unforgettable. A similar one with Canada. The consequences won't stop at politics, because this time the stakes are bigger. Trade, security, culture, and the biggest World Cup to ever be hosted. A united front is non-negotiable. As we head into this week, eyes won't just be on the World Cup draw, they'll be on Carney and Trump. Two leaders who must decide whether the 2026 World Cup becomes a symbol of unity or a stage overshadowed by political hostility. Either way, its ripple effects will be felt across stadiums, borders, and billions watching in 2026.
I wore the crown of a revolutionary. I promised to lift my nation. I claimed to fight imperialism. I became the very thing I warned against. I funded militias across continents. I feared my own shadow. Some called me the King of Kings. History calls me something else. The dictator. Who am I?